they're going to be tales right up before The Force Awakens. So essentially it's a prequel cartoon to The Force Awakens. And they did show some footage of that seemed to look like it'd be a lot of fun. It has all the major characters, Kylo Ren and Phasma, and Poe Dameron, and it showed a scene of them escaping off of a Star Destroyer. And it was a little confusing, obviously not canon either, because Poe being on a Star Destroyer prior to The Force Awakens kind of negates his looking shocked when he got off of the troop First Order transporter on the Star Destroyer like he'd been there before. Oh, like he hadn't been there before. So, again, it's a Lego cartoon. But it was cool to be able to see these new characters in a different form. That's what I find most exciting. I want to move forward, even if this takes place just before The Force Awakens. I want to move forward in the timeline. I want to hang out with Poe more. I want to hang out with, we probably won't get Rey, but we will get Kylo Ren and Captain Phasma in these cartoons. So that to me is exciting because I want more of that. And again, I'm a big fan of moving forward in the timeline. I'm looking forward to Rogue One. Don't misunderstand. A lot, just like everybody is, but at the same time, I do have that kind of it's going to be cool. It'll be really fun to see. I hope they do a great job with it, but I'm really curious to see how they line up in terms of continuity. How much different stuff are we going to see in Rogue One that when we go and watch A New Hope or The Empire Strikes Back, we're going to go, why don't we see any of those things anymore? Because those were cool. That kind of stuff, right? Again, these are Star Wars problems. There were a few deleted scenes that were described for The Force Awakens this week. Nothing major. One of them was involving Captain Phasma, and apparently it wasn't any kind of action scene. It was basically just Captain Phasma telling the troops to get aboard the transports. It was just an added scene that they removed from the film. And the other one was a scene that we'd heard about a couple times, and that is the junk dealer, if you will, Unkar Plutt on Jakku, who Rey gets her rations from. He actually followed her and the Falcon to Maz Kanata's planet, Takodana, and ends up at her castle/cantina. And there was supposed to be a scene where I believe Chewbacca pulls either Unkar Plutt's or somebody else's arm out of their socket. This was, this was a major part of not a major part, but another plot point they took out. And they ended up removing it just for time constraints and didn't want to go there with it. And I think it was a good move. So a couple of descriptions of deleted scenes that more than likely will end up on the Blu-ray, which, by the way, I have some bad news, and I haven't seen it confirmed anywhere else, but there has been some speculation that the Blu-ray for The Force Awakens may be not coming out until June. We had initially thought there was an April 5th release date, and now we're hearing that may not happen until June. I hope that's not the case, man. I don't want to wait that long. I was good with the April 5th date. And I kind of hope they keep it, too, because I think I've seen it for the last time in the theater last weekend. I don't think I'm going to go to the theater again to see it. But it looks like it's finally beginning to leave a lot of theaters and being relegated to the cheaper theaters. I haven't. The last time I looked at the box office or went and looked at the movie listings, I know a couple of major theaters here locally it was way down on the list, and that makes sense. It's been out now for a while. Deadpool came out this weekend. That's raking in a ton of dough. So we're kind of getting now that we're past the holidays and into February, we are now getting into a new batch of bigger releases, and so that's going to push The Force Awakens out of the theater quicker. And I think I would think that in terms of Rogue One and promotion, that they would want to get The Force Awakens Blu-ray out sooner than later to not end up confusing, the moviegoer. It would seem like, get The Force Awakens out and then use that to begin promoting, Rogue One. Stick a teaser for Rogue One on the Blu-ray or DVD for The Force Awakens. Along those same lines, we did get word just yesterday that there will be a Force Friday for Rogue One, but it won't be taking place until September, which is interesting. We got our Force Friday for The Force Awakens in October. No, we got it in April, May, June, July, August. Did we get it in August? Maybe we did get it in September. I thought it was earlier than that. Let me look at the article here. Let's see. Jedi News, Star Wars Underworld got news from the New York Toy Fair. Much like with the launch of The Force Awakens, there will be a new launch for Rogue One products, a second Force Friday, on Friday, September 30th. Force Friday will be when the major retailers will open up their stores at 12 a.m. to sell all the new action figures, books, and Legos for the latest Star Wars film. Yeah, I thought we got it. I thought we got it earlier last time. I'll have to check the dates. I don't have the information in front of me, so it just seems like they're pushing the promotion of it out because we still don't have a teaser, and we really need something. I'm going to keep saying it. It really is time that Disney get up and give us something in regards to Rogue One, because it just seems like they are really taking their time. We did have Bob Iger, the CEO for Disney, come out and say that they were thrilled with what they'd seen so far with Rogue One, but what do you think that he is going to say? That what we saw so far stunk and we want to go reshoot it? Yeah, no. Of course he's going to end up saying that. And in my clicking through on the internet, I was right. Yeah, the Force Friday is taking place almost a month later than it did for The Force Awakens. So I think the original Force Friday took place at the beginning of September. This one will be taking place at the end of September. Other interesting item of note, and I'll have some samples of this for next week's podcast, but there is there's a compilation album of famous electronic bands that have created basically an album using original sound effects and clips from the Star Wars universe. It's called Headspace. I've listened to a little bit of it. It's pretty interesting. There's a couple of these bands I've heard of before. Most of them I haven't, just because I haven't really been keeping up with the sort of electronic music scene as much as I maybe as much as I should, because I dig this type of music. I'm being a huge Depeche Mode fan. But I did listen to a little bit of it, and it's actually, you know what, I can probably bring some of it up right now. Let's see. This one is by Roy's Cop, and it's called Bounty Hunters. Let me turn this up a bit. It's produced by Rick Rubin, for those that are familiar with him. Yeah, so, look, from what I heard, it was pretty interesting. I heard one that was using the Imperial warning alert that you heard in, well, almost all the, right, that. It's pretty cool. This has the opportunity to be really cheesy, and what I heard actually sounded halfway decent. So it's called Headspace, available up on iTunes. I will probably listen to it. I don't think that I'll buy everything surrounding it, but I subscribe to the iTunes Connect to where you can listen to all the music for free, so I'll probably listen to it on that. And I'm not hugely excited about it, but it might be good just for background music if I'm in a Star Wars mood and want something different. All right, moving on to some Episode 8 news. Not a ton to talk about there, apart from, as I mentioned, there's been some talk about Obi Wan Kenobi appearing as a Force ghost in Episode 8. I'd be totally fine with that. I'm sure they would do a great job of making him look like Alec Guinness did in the original trilogy movies. especially since word came out, and I don't think I discussed this on last week's podcast, but word came out that Yoda was supposed to appear in The Force Awakens, and they took him out at the last minute. So it makes sense, especially if they're kind of following the original trilogy aesthetic in terms of introductions. It would make sense that we get a Force ghost in Episode 8, and it would make sense that it would either be Yoda or it would be Obi Wan Kenobi. It could obviously be, since the Force ghost first appeared in The Empire Strikes Back. I don't believe that that's an indication that Episode 8 is going to be like The Empire Strikes Back. I firmly believe that Rian Johnson's Episode 8 is going to be very original and not what The Force Awakens did in terms of mirroring A New Hope. There might be some elements there, but I think the whole point of The Force Awakens was to reestablish Star Wars. Again, go backwards to go forwards, and now we will move forward. There was also a lot of talk about the fact that the production, filming for Episode 8 has begun. That's sort of the bigger news. You go to the Instagram pages for Daisy Ridley or for John Boyega, and you see them, making comments that the training has begun. We talked about it last week. Also, one of the filming locations will be in Croatia, in Dubrovnik, Croatia, and quite a few photos of the area around Dubrovnik. What I find most interesting about it is that if you had to go and point to the aesthetic of the architecture in Dubrovnik and apply it to any planet in the Star Wars universe, it closely resembles Naboo, which I thought was interesting. There are some spots that look a little bit like Ahch-To, the planet where Luke Skywalker was at the end of The Force Awakens, that was filmed on Skellig Mikkel. But it looks like there's been some confirmations of certain areas of Dubrovnik. I guess the mayor of Dubrovnik went and visited Lucasfilm recently. So there's been some confirmation of certain areas of Dubrovnik that will be used, and it's clear that they're using some of the architecture there. So it could be Naboo. It also looks a lot like, if you've seen the art book, in the art book there was a location that was really thoroughly vetted and not used in The Force Awakens. They just called the Exotic City. A lot of these different locales, which will obviously undergo CGI, and regular set dressing to make it look different. It looks a lot like the artwork for that Exotic City as well. So, and again, I mean, it's just, they're going to be filming there, and it looks like these places, there really isn't much else to say other than that. And it's kind of exciting that Episode 8 has begun filming, and we have another movie called Rogue One coming out later this year. All of that makes me happy. Now, speaking of Episode 8, as news broke a couple weeks ago, they are going to be moving Episode 8 out from that May release date of 2017 and making it in December, which most of us believe is going to be the norm here on out, that we'll probably get the new saga movies in December every single year. The interesting thing originally was that it was going to be sharing that weekend with Avatar 2, and shortly after Disney announced they would be releasing Episode 8 in December, Avatar 2 got moved. The other movie it was supposed to be sharing the weekend with was Ready Player One, directed by Steven Spielberg. Now it turns out that Ready Player One is also getting pushed to 2018. So now Star Wars will be all by itself again in December of that date. So I'm kind of bummed from the standpoint of I'm really looking forward to Ready Player One. Read the book. The book is fantastic. I don't read books very often just because I read so much for my show that, and I've never been a real big reader, but I'd heard some really good things about Ready Player One, and actually sat down and read it and loved that book, and really looking forward to Steven Spielberg and what he does with the material. So it looks like now Ready Player One has been moved out of the way, and Episode 8 will enjoy that weekend all by itself. I was listening to another podcast, Jedi Council, on the Collider. They do a daily Collider movie news. They also do every Thursday.